1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It was 8, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Newcastle United on this last word video is probably going to be one of the most positive ones because they defeated Sheffield United 8-0 away from home. Away from home. I was almost bored of celebrating. By the time the 8th one went in, it was just a case of like, yeah, get in again. I was exhausted. Me poor knees, I whacked them off the seats because I was jumping up and down that many times. Newcastle United, if you're going to do that to us and score that many goals and be absolutely class, can you please give us a bit of pre-warning? And, you know, you could forgive people for not even being able to work out what the score was. I mean, I turned countdown on today, and guess what the maths problem was? But of course, Rachel got the correct answer, didn't she? Oh. The less said about her on this video, the better. Let's keep this one very, very PG. Yeah, so lots of amazing things to talk about. Not just from this one performance that will go down in Newcastle's history books, but also across the last 7 to 8 days of Newcastle United being absolutely class. We're going to be talking about it on this lovely, wonderful last word video. So do us a favour, Newcastle fans. Stick around. Welcome back to Black and White Banter, you lovely Newcastle fans. I hope you're having a great week. I hope you are having an absolutely stewy-wooey pendus week. And I've just made that word up because Eddie Howe's mags allow you to make words up because they put you in such a good mood that your vocabulary doesn't even know what to do with itself. I've had a fantastic week so far. I have absolutely filled my face with mint chocolate. Not any mint chocolate with Mr. Mad Dog Tyndall's face on it. What else would you eat on a week of all weeks like this one? Every time I see 8 a.m. on a morning, every time I see 8 p.m, which is roughly about the time I'm making this video, my face lights up. It was incredible. But before we get into that, Newcastle fans, do us a little favour. Do me just this one little favour. Little likey loo. 8 thumbs, if you've got them, because that is the theme of today's video. Give us one of them. Whack that subscribe if you like my opinion by the end of this. And if you haven't already, give my match vlog a watch. If you just want to watch a man celebrating repeatedly 8 times, I'll hold my hand up and say it's probably quite a boring watch. I try and keep my match vlogs as entertaining as possible, but it's just me jumping up and down over and over and over again, featuring my good friends Aaron and Scott. If you're watching this, hello, you probably's not though. You always tell me you watch these, but you probably's not. So yeah, give that a watch, feel free, on what was a historic day for this football club. Now, I wrote my blog post, which is on YouTube if you want to go down a little bit further. I do like to do a bit of writing as well. I don't just like to stick my face in front of a video, amongst the many other things I like to create. So get us on TikTok and Facebook if you're curious what I mean by that. What I said at the start of that was, as Newcastle fans, we spend thousands. We sacrifice relationships. And without getting in too deep, that does apply to me a little bit. I'm not saying my last long-term relationship ended just because of football. There was lots of other contributing factors. But Eddie Howe's mags sucked me in so much last season that I probably didn't realise I was going to so many matches. Is it a bit of a regret? Yes, of course it is. But, you know, we live in a wonderful world of hindsight. But the point I'm trying to make is, it's not about this is your life, Black and White Banter. The point I'm trying to make is Newcastle fans spend thousands that they don't even have. They work all week and put their life and soul, their emotion, their tears, their sweat, their 8-hour exhausting journeys, their flights into supporting Newcastle United. It's not always worth it. And in the time I've supported this club, more times than not, it hasn't been. But days like Sunday, and I don't mean scoring 8 goals, I mean performances and matches like that, surrounded by friends, surrounded by your fellow fans, are what it's all about. They are what it's all about. You know, you could give me 35 Steve Bruce performances that I could tolerate just about and still show up through blind loyalty, and I'd still do it for one of them. Newcastle fans don't ask for a lot. The new ownership has changed our expectations Quite considerably, yes. But most Newcastle fans who go week in, week out, in my opinion, are just there just to enjoy those little things like yesterday, as I make this video, like Sunday's game. Absolutely incredible. It was a great day out. I wasn't going to go. I was mentally exhausted from AC Milan. Couldn't really get my head out my arse. That was a heavy trip. If you watch my match vlogs, you'll know why. It was a very, very long travel back for me. It wasn't ideal. And then you're straight into a trip down to Sheffield. The glamorous Sheffield in comparison to Milan, can I just say. But what were the key talking points on what was a day when I could sit here and talk about every individual performance in high regard? I could single out so many players. Of course I could. Nick Pope is probably the only player I wouldn't give any praise to because he had absolutely sod all to do. So sorry, Nick, you wouldn't get a mention if I was singling out players because the blokes in front of you were doing a fantastic job. So let's get into it. And I'm not going to make this all about individual players, but I am going to select some, and that's where I'm going to start. So first up for me, someone who I do not think across social media or from any pundits or media outlets is getting enough talk after 2 solid performances in back-to-back Premier League games is one of our own, Mr. Elliot Anderson. Now, at the start of this season, in pre-season, he was lighting the place up. He basically had his head on the Statue of Liberty because he was doing that well in the United States. He looked incredible. He did. He really did. And Eddie Howe didn't play him at the start of the season, and no one could have begrudged Eddie Howe for starting him against... Who did we have first game? Who was our first match of the season? Against Aston Villa when we battered them. No one could have said, yeah, he shouldn't be playing. We've got better than that in the team, because that's how well he did. He didn't play. I was worried he'd lose his momentum. Now, Eddie Howe brought him back in for Brentford in what was a really difficult, dogged, just a game of patience. We stayed patient. We got over the line. That was the most important thing after 3 consecutive defeats. And Elliot Anderson played in that. I didn't think he set the world alight, and I said that on my video, because what we as fans have now expected of Elliot Anderson, and Bristol Rover fans who created that Geordie Maradona chant, who loved him in getting them promotion, they would also agree that Elliot Anderson is probably his best when he's in and around the box. Generally speaking, played on the left-hand side a lot of his career so far. Cutting in and around the box, getting shots off, small pockets of space, creating things basically. Hence the name Maradona. Eddie Howe in the last 2 matches has played him more as a number 8, as a midfield 3 with Longstaff and Bruno. And I thought he's been absolutely brilliant. I really do. And yes, we can put all the praise on Longstaff, who scored, who played brilliantly at Sheffield United on Sunday. And he played brilliantly in AC Milan. And I thought he was important in the Brentford result. So Longstaff, I've talked about him enough. We've asked for him back in the team enough. Elliot Anderson, for me, is the one who is looking mature beyond his years, because if he can put in a performance like he did against Brentford, when our backs were against the wall in terms of chances created and we just had to dig in and then go to Milan and come on as a substitute and not look out of place, and then start away from home at Bramall Lane and contribute in the way that he did to an 8-0 win. I would have loved to have seen him got on the score sheet. God, that's going to be a good day when he does in the league. Absolutely incredible. And what we are looking at here is a boy who's already proven, and Eddie Howe is great at man management and changing players, who's a little bit diverse in where he can play. And it's no coincidence that, yes, Sean Longstaff's come back in and we've got 2 wins out of 2 in the league. But I think you can say exactly the same about Elliot Anderson, because him and Longstaff combined are freeing up Bruno to do what we like to see Bruno doing, and really, really just being more creative. And Elliot Anderson's work at the other end of the pitch compared to getting forward cannot be discredited. The lad's got an engine on him. The lad likes to dig in. He's a Newcastle fan, so of course he's going to pull his socks up and graft. And I really think he's shown maturity that none of us really expected. It's all well and good doing well in pre-season, and he did. He really shone a light on that trip to America. But to be playing in consecutive wins in the Premier League and looking as comfortable as he is, so comfortable in my opinion that pundits and journalists aren't talking about him, and fans on social media aren't talking about him. If Elliot Anderson was the weak point, he would have been mentioned on a social media point of view, like a toxic Twitter, X we have to call it now. And no one's mentioning him, not that I can see, not enough as what I would have liked to have seen. And Elliot Anderson, for me, stays in that team against Burnley on Saturday. I'm a big believer in not changing things that are working. Longstaff, we all knew he would have a positive impact. He's worth his weight in gold in that midfield in the system that we play. But let's keep Elliot Anderson in. Let's keep him in. And he needed some praise. Now, of course, to summarise on the back of that one, who else could I talk about in a little bit more detail? Kieran Trippier. My God, against AC Milan, he showed why he is, for me, one of the best defenders Newcastle United have ever had. He really, really is. Not only is he a great leader, but as a defender and as a quality footballer, brain, feet, engine, out of this world. And for him to go to Sheffield United after an exhausting trip like that to Milan and register 3 assists and be so influential at the other end of the pitch. In 2 matches, you've seen Kieran Trippier show that he's a fucking beast of a defender against Milan in the San Siro to get a 0-0 draw. But he's also showed he's got so much to offer going forward. And yes, have I been critical of Kieran Trippier's crosses? Yes, but I think that's fair because some of his free kicks and crosses and corners for a large majority of the back end of last season were pretty pony. They were pretty gash. And we're allowed to say those things if what we are watching is poor set pieces. But I mean, the depth little dink of a cross for Callum Wilson's header was beautiful from that Fabian Schär disguised pass to him. And we were just free flowing. So he gets a shout. And then Anthony Gordon came on in very unfortunate circumstances. But I think he changed the game. I'm not saying Eddie Howe would have got it wrong with Barnes on the pitch, but we stepped up a level. Suddenly Sheffield United defenders did not know their arse from the elbow. Anthony Gordon has a controversial say that I didn't think was that controversial in the first goal, and we never looked back. Lovely goal. Should have scored another one. Almost scored another one when it deflected and the keeper saved it. And Anthony Gordon is now, aside from anything else, he's installing my faith in Eddie Howe in why Eddie Howe wanted him across 2 windows. He wanted him. He got him because he saw something in the player that could be worked on, that could be developed, but also currently existed. And we are seeing that in Anthony Gordon. And he is now undroppable in our midfield. Not just because we've got injuries and issues on that left-hand side with no Joe Linton, Willock or Barnes, but because he is looking one of our main threats and one of our main outlets. God knows where that boy can be in a couple of years. And I say that. I don't like to make big statements. Anyone who watches my videos knows that I don't, because they do come to bite you on the back of the arse. But he's got so many attributes. He's got that aggression about him. He looks angry when he's playing football. And as a Newcastle fan, I love that. I don't want to see nicey-nicey. I want to see a gritty determination to work on that mistake that you've just made when you've given the ball away. Get it back as quickly as possible, even if you give a foul away. And fucking get up the other end of the pitch and get a shot off. I love it. He grafts his bollocks off to the last minute. And we saw that at AC Milan. He really grafts his bollocks off. Sorry, Brentford, when we beat them 1-0 in the injury time when he was celebrating in the corner with the fans. The engine on him, the quality he has, the change of direction he's capable of. And if he adds goals like he has so far this season, I mean, his finish was beautiful. He deserves a mention. And you could continue to praise players. I thought Bruno had a really good game, but I don't want to make all that video about this. The next point for me is how significant I think that win was. And what I mean by that is, I said, going into the Brentford game, let's restart our season. After 3 consecutive defeats, Brighton game was absolutely woeful. International break came, great. Get the boys in, Eddie, sort them out. Let's go into that Brentford match, huge game at St James's, and almost restart our season. We got over the line at Brentford, but there was still concerns there. We went to Milan, we rode our luck, but defensively we put in a shift. Bodies on the line, we would have liked to have seen a bit more quality, of course. First Champions League game, emotions running high. We proved how good we can be from a defensive point of view and how resilient across those 2 matches, you could argue. And the only thing I was still worried about going into Sheffield United, and I've said it on repeat, is I'm still not seeing much in the final third clicking. Bruno's not looking that great. Almiron's not really doing it. Isak's looking isolated. And the fact that we got a result like that at Sheffield United, I mean, in that second half, players were making runs they weren't making before. People were trying riskier passes. Bruno was showboating. Isak was getting in the action, sending defenders sliding all the way to bloody London. It was one of them games where we flowed and we clicked. And I think that's what we needed. Not only does the 8-0 give us so much confidence to get 8 scorers, I think that is what our group of players needed after that Aston Villa game on the start of the season where we knew what they were capable of. They lost a bit of zip in the last month or so. And it happens. Eddie Howe's going through a transition of Gordon coming into the team, Barnes coming into the team, Callum Wilson and Isak rotating to a degree, Tonali playing in from midfield, Bruno being a little bit out of sorts. There's lots of transitions going on and little barren runs of poor attacking form are going to happen from time to time. But I think to go and beat Sheffield United the way we did with the free-flowing football where we could have scored 12 on another day, I would have had no knees left if we did. That could really start something for us. So across this week, I'm going to even claim that we saw the perfect week supporting Newcastle because we conceded 0, which was amazing because we hadn't kept a clean sheet for a while. We showed our resilience in the San Siro and against Brentford in a game, that Brentford match that we would have lost in we would have drawn in previous seasons. I personally think we made sure we got over the line, and we showed how good this group of players can be from an attacking point of view. I felt like those Newcastle players at Sheffield almost realised that they are really good. Oh shit, yeah, we are a Champions League team. We do have £63 million Isak up front. We do have Kieran Trippier, La Liga winning right back, playing. We do have Bruno, Brazilian playmaker, playing. Something clicked and something changed, and we started playing with a freedom that when these group of players can do that, can be devastating. And yes, of course, Sheffield United were absolutely shite. I've got no qualms with saying that, but we were still devastatingly good in that second half. And I don't think anyone... I've got lots of work colleagues now that I work a little bit more on the sports side. I've got work colleagues who support lots of different teams who messaged me on the night of the game and said, wow, you guys were good, as bad as Sheffield United were. And these are opinions I respect. And we were. And I can't imagine what it was like watching the neutral. So that's the big point for me that I think, from an attacking point of view, let's really hope going into Burnley, we'll talk about Man City on that match preview. That's a different animal altogether. Of course it is. Cup games, Eddie Howe will make changes. Burnley on Saturday and then PSG in the Champions League the following Wednesday. Let's just keep that attacking flow going. Let's ignore what went on before and really express ourselves a bit more on the pitch. And my final point on this one, I know I haven't gone through as many points as I would like to. There's lots of other things we could talk about. Tonali's role in this team because he hasn't been playing. But I've looked at the clock behind us and I have already been talking a while because there were so many individual performances to talk about, and I wanted to emphasise how important I thought that from an attacking point of view, how big that result was for us moving forward, for us to see the Eddie Howe's Newcastle team of old from last season. I just want to finish by saying, Newcastle fans, let this last week be a bit of a lesson, and that's me included. It really is. I'm probably what I would say one of your more optimistic Newcastle fans, probably one of your more optimistic content creators. But after that Brighton performance and after 3 defeats in a row, there was lots of talk. Tonali and Bruno's not working. Defensively, we're looking shaky. We're not creating anything, as I've just talked about on this video. And things did feel a little bit negative. But if one thing we have been proven by this team is that, of course, we should always keep the faith. And if there's one manager who should allow himself the time for his fan base to keep the faith in him, it's Eddie Howe and what he's achieved. And suddenly, in the space of 7 days, 8 days, we have a flip where everything is rosy in the garden again. Not everything, there's still things to work on and still conundrums for Eddie Howe to deal with in terms of his selections and whatnot. But generally speaking, we are looking now at a Newcastle team, 2 back-to-back wins, back in the top half of the Premier League, 0 goals conceded, including a trip to 7 Champions League time winning AC Milan at the San Siro. And being a Newcastle fan and going into the rest of this season as we approach the Carabao Cup, one of 4 competitions that we're in, it's not all bad in the Newcastle United garden, is it? So Newcastle fans, let's keep the faith when we go through little ruts. Let's stick together because we are a team in transition. We are a team experiencing new things, players, managers and fans alike, with these competitions that we're in. And we cannot expect to do well every week, especially with our squad developing and growing and players coming in from all parts of the world. Let's try and keep the faith. And that's me included. Newcastle fans, let me know how your week's going in the comments. Let me know what you thought of that performance and what you took away from it. And I know there'll probably be players who you want to talk about in a bit more detail that I didn't get a chance to. And I'll also finish this video by apologising. Lots of comments coming on my YouTube videos, but I am a content creator now. It's in content creator. I'm a Newcastle fan who likes to make videos, let's say that. Who makes videos on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. And it can be a bit overwhelming to reply to them all. So I do sometimes spend an hour catching up on comments. So please do not think your comments are being ignored. I read them, I get them as push notifications to my phone, and I love every single one that comes in. So please do not stop commenting because you don't always get a response from me. I will get around to saying to speaking to you all eventually, and I'd love to read them. So if you like this video, whack that subscribe. My next one will be a Manchester City match preview. Yeah, you know that team we've got a fantastic record against in the Carabao Cup. That's reared its head what feels like only a month after that beautiful Wembley trip. So make sure you stick around for that one. Big week coming up again for Eddie Howe's Mags, and keep the faith. Away Eddie Howe's 8-0 Mags.